Big news when it comes to the NFL and the CTE, which was something that we've known now for years. In fact, they even had a movie, Concussion. Will Smith is in it. And it's a big conversation that's been had. But then ever so often, Ephraim, as you know, they'll come out with new data, new studies, new research, and we learn a little bit more about it. So just diving deep a little bit into this. They did a new research study that comes out. They think the real number could be between about 98% of these 250-something players that they use their brain. Obviously, you have to be, unfortunately, passed away before they can study your brain to find out if you had CTE. They go on in this research to find that NFL players are 4 times more likely to die from neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, ALS, Parkinson's than the general population. And just some other stats around that. But the larger conversation to me, Ephraim, is we do this dance every, like I said, couple of years, 2 years, 5 years, when they have a new study, new research, or sadly someone passes away, maybe takes their own life, and then their family will donate their brain to be studied, and we find out they had it. I want to just say where I am with it, my thought process towards the NFL thought process, and then I want to throw it to you as somebody who played in this league. And obviously, you'll have a very unique perspective when it comes to this. My thing has been this: now that we've learned more, Ephraim, we've got studies, we've got movies. I want this to be like smoking. I want this to be like alcohol. I want this to be like not practicing safe sex. Well, anything where the information is now out there. They're not hiding anything with cigarettes. They're not hiding anything when it comes to alcohol. We know, hey, you smoke cigarettes, you have increased the chances of you getting cancer exponentially, right? We know that. It's out there. I ain't gonna lie, Ephraim, I'm always shocked when I see you walk out of a doctor's office, you see doctors there just having a few. You're like, hey, you know what? But live your life. But it's crazy to see that, but it does happen. But you at least know the information, right? We all know. We've seen all the commercials. They had the people using the thing, and, I lost my ability to breathe. And I'm not trying to be funny, but we've seen those commercials. We know. And for me, I feel like the NFL, if I'm the NFL, I'm not hiding anything anymore, Ephraim. I'm coming full out. I'm backing the data by all of the scientists and doctors. I'm right behind them. I'm championing it. Because what I'm going to say is, this is everything you need to know about your chance playing in the NFL. Here's everything you need to know about football. Because it's, by the way, what also we're learning, Ephraim, is that it isn't just the NFL. It starts early. It's starting earlier, 6, 7, 8 years old, taking those hits. So I'm saying, hey, football is inherently dangerous. Here's the numbers. Here's the data. Here's the science. Here's doctors. Here's everything. Research, everything you need to know. Because what I think they would find is that majority of people will still participate. Majority of people will still play. Majority of people will still say, I'm going to take the risk because like people do with anything else, drunk driving, they'll say, it ain't going to be me. And I think the NFL could absolve themselves from any litigation, because I would say, hey, wiping my hands clean, Ephraim. These are the dangers. Here's the risk. Here's everything. But it's a great life. Ephraim Salaam was afforded a great life. George Rice, who's a friend of our show, Kerry Rhodes, friend of, all the people that come on our show, great life. You go to great colleges. Your children will reap the benefits, possibly your children's children. Come. And at least I've told you everything, and I have a feeling vast majority are still going to come. So for me, that's how I look at it. When we get this information, if I'm the NFL, I'm not ducking, I'm not hiding, I'm not doing stuff to all the older players who have issues. I'm taking care of them, and I'm letting everybody know from the future, moving forward, here's the facts, here's the data. And what I found, last point, is every time I've had this conversation with folks like yourself, and I don't know if I've had it with you, but when I've had it with former NFL players on this show, when I was at the old station, whatnot, I've not found one person yet who knows all the data, knows everything, who wouldn't do it again, Ephraim. And so I conclude my point with that. The only point I do want them to take care of the players previously, especially the older ones who won all those lawsuits, who they're lollygagging them around. They're making them jump through hoops to get the money. Some of them have even won lawsuits, but they still won't pay them. We need extra documentation. Please, NFL, take care of them. We know how dangerous we know. Just take care of those players. And moving forward, be fully forthright. Where are you with this? Answer that question for me, too. Can you be the first person I've ever asked this to, former NFL player? Knowing everything, would you do it again?
Of course. I tell people all the time, my kids don't play football because I did, right? I played so they don't have to. And, football is a game I loved, and I fell in love with it later in life than most kids do. And maybe that's been a benefit to me. I didn't play football until high school, till ninth grade year. And so 8 years later, I was in the NFL. So, kids who are playing at 5, playing tackle football in some places at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think I've gone on record. I've been on record. I don't think you should play tackle football until you get to high school. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. There is no need to play tackle football until you get to high school. I'm living proof of that. Right. And so playing flag football and 7-on-7 and doing all those things without the contact and without the banging of the heads and all of that, to me, that's important because now you're giving yourself a little bit more grace, right? You're giving yourself some time to develop physically before you start tackling, head-to-head contact, things of that nature. I think later is better. As far as the CTE findings in the test, of course, it's petrifying. I'm freaked out every time I hear something like this because you don't know. I've been extremely blessed and lucky. I know a bunch of guys who have been trying to collect on that settlement, and they make it almost impossible. Which is
that's what I was saying earlier.
Which is the thing that hurts me the most. A couple things. For those who've come before me, it's been better for us. For those who've come after me, it's been better for them. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that the NFL, in my opinion, has done is neglected all of the players when it comes to healthcare. Like I am as someone who's 50 now, I turned 50 this year, knowing that you sacrificed and gave everything you had, your body, your mind, your time, everything to a great profession like the National Football League, and to not have health care when it's probably one of the most physical team sports that you can play in this country, blows my mind.
Job, period.
Blows my mind. And, you can play in the Major League Baseball. You can play one game in Major League and have health care for you and your family for life.
Crazy.
Like, to me, that bothers me. Yeah. It bothers me because I know what I've gone through. I know, 11, 12 days after surgery, getting back on the field. I know having 2 broken hands and starting 14 games. I know having a herniated disc in your back and not missing a game. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like today. I know what it feels like back then. I know what it feels like today. And not to have health care, have to provide my own health care to help with those things. Now, they have things that they have in place where a reimbursement program where they really make it hard to get reimbursed for medical things that you pay. So if I had a surgery and I had to pay for the surgery, I have to submit these forms and all of that, and they will deny or approve it, and they'll give me the money back. That's in place for us, reimbursement program. But then they have a dedicated hospital network where if you are a player, whichever region you live in, they have a dedicated hospital that you can call. You have to call and say, hey, I need to go to the doctor tomorrow for this. And then, they'll make or call the doctor and do that. And then you can go. You just can't just pop into an urgent care and be like, hey, my back hurt or something like that.
Right.
Which I also am grateful for. But just your dependents aren't covered for that. I just think the way the NFL is handling health care is counterproductive with what they're saying they're trying to do to make the game safer. That's my opinion. And they are trying to make the game safer. The technology, the things that they've done in the helmets, you see the Guardian caps that they wear in practice. Yep. Some guys wear them in the game. I think all of that is necessary. But I also think, they should be a little bit the hoops that you have to jump through to actually get the settlement. This is my opinion. If you've played 100 games or more, number one, you get health care for life. Number two, you'll get a piece of the settlement, whether a concussion settlement period, because the odds of playing 100 games at any position in the National Football League and not ever being concussed one time is almost 0 to none.
Right.
Now, you can go by position, right? Offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Every single play, 50 to 65 plays a game, you make forcible contact with your head and your hands against someone else. That's 100 games worth of that, plus the practices. All of these things are simple things that you can just be like, yeah, okay. I know I've been on the line and heard a play called in the huddle and have zero idea what I'm doing. Like zero. Like I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? My guard is looking at me like, just block the end. Is it a run or a pass? I've been there. I know what that feels like.
All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share. Do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.